Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand, and ladies and gentlemen, it is perfect. I got a message yesterday, a video message from Dr. Mike of Neuro Coffee fame, the creator, inventor of Neuro Coffee. And I got kind of a surprise for some people that are coming up thanks to him. So we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I was just pretty excited to hear from him because it's been a while since we've actually had a chance to talk. And he's a good friend and a brilliant human being for actually creating a coffee that's actually good for your brain. So hi to Dr. Mike on video. So I got a couple of questions that I wanted to go through today for today's Q&A, both kind of interesting in different ways. So let me dig right into those. First one comes from Jason. And Jason says, I recently saw a client with a 90-degree ISA that did not move at all. Additionally, he had limited shoulder, hip, and hip IR and ER, limited shoulder and hip flexion, no hip extension, and a lordotic posture. Given these measures, I found it difficult to decide whether I should treat him as someone compressed or expanded, as these measures seem conflicting. First and foremost, let's clarify something about this 90-degree ISA thingy. There is no normal. Everybody has their own. They will have the idiosyncratic infrasternal angle. It's just that some people are really biased towards an exhalation axial skeleton with a compensatory inhalation strategy, and some people are more biased towards an inhalation axial skeleton with an exhalation strategy, and therefore that's what makes these wides and narrows. And it is a guide to direct you towards a strategy of influence to make the favorable changes in their adaptability. So when you're presented with somebody with a 90-degree ISA, that is not a normal ISA if it does not move. The goal is to create a dynamic ISA. And so I would direct you to my YouTube video as to how to measure that, so you actually get a reasonable representation of what the capabilities of the infrasternal angle are, and so you can distinguish between the wide and the narrow. Now, under these circumstances, you've lost ERs and IRs, Jason, and so you know you've got an anterior and a posterior compression going on here. So there's no relative gradient between inhalation and exhalation. You have a very strong compressive strategy on both sides of the joints. Therefore, you've lost motion in both directions. And so what you need to do at this point is you've got to get the infrasternal angle to move. So if you have manual skills that are allowable in this situation, that's where you would want to go first. You want to try to get this thing to move. And so what I would do is I would compress one side and try to expand the other, and then vice versa. If you don't have manual skills, what you can do, what we've done at iFast is we will take advantage of our glute ham raise pad, so it's the curve pad, and so we will have people assume different positions over top of the pad, which creates a compressive strategy, and then we promote expansion on the other side using breathing. So those would be the early strategies that I would use, because the first thing you've got to do here, Jason, is you've got to get the ISA moving, because if I don't have a diaphragm that is capable of changing its shape as you breathe, it makes it very difficult to capture anything else. In the remainder of those strategies, you're going to focus on expansion in the dorsal rostral area. So there's a seated dorsal rostral activity that you'll probably find very useful, again, on YouTube. And then you want to do some form of reciprocal activities where you're pushing or reaching with one side at a time. So any activities like supine arm bars, one arm at a time, would be a useful activity. Anything that's in an offset position will be a useful activity. So anything in a split stance, anything where one arm is moving forward, the other arm is moving back. You want to start to think about those types of activities where you're promoting the ability to turn. So you've got to recapture the turns here. But again, everything that you need to be focused on is driving expansion. And then in most cases, you're going to want to make sure you get that dorsal rostral, because that's what's going to allow you to achieve your flexions. Okay, so your overhead reach and your knee to chest. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Jason. The second question I have is from Matt. And Matt asks, I'm wondering what your thought process would be for recapturing normal conditions for someone with a pelvis that is anteriorly tipped on one side only with a wide ISA presentation. The right ilium seems to be pulled forward by the iliacus, and the lower ribcage on the same side looks to have an oblique that is not pulling the ribcage down fully during exhalation. Okay, so what you actually have here, Matt, is somebody that's got a pelvis that's tilted on an oblique axis. So the right side is not necessarily forward as you believe. So let me get the pelvis and I'll show you. So when we talk about in the anterior orientation, that'll be representative of movement in this direction. So now I'm going to show you this from the front, okay? But what you got here, Matt, is you got somebody that's anteriorly oriented, but they're anteriorly oriented on an oblique axis. So it's going this way. And so what it looks like is that this side is actually more forward when the reality is it's just turning to the right. And so again, you're just orienting the pelvis on this oblique axis. Now I'm going to turn this around so you can actually see this. If you pay attention to the ischial tuberosity, what's going to happen is you're going to see that ischial tuberosity move up in that direction there as the pelvis tilts forward on this oblique axis. And so what we need to do is we need to utilize exercises that are going to bring this ischial tuberosity down in the opposing oblique axis. And so let me give you a list of activities that you might want to consider using, okay? So you're going to do a right supine arm bar. You're going to do a mountain climber with the body inclined at a 60-degree angle with the left knee to chest. You want to do right shoulder rolls. You're going to do backwards crawling. You could use a Jefferson variation on a left front foot elevated split squat. You could use a right leg forward, rear foot elevated split squat with the left hand holding a low cable. You could do a high to low cable press in a staggered stance with the left foot back. You could do a right to left cable lift, which will also help you achieve these same positions. The idea is you have to push backwards to the left on an oblique angle. So that's your exercise selection for this type of an orientation. Because again, what you're looking at is this tilt on the oblique axis versus a true anterior posterior axis. So hopefully, Matt, that's helpful for you as well. If you have any questions about any of those exercises, please post them in the comments section here or after I post this up on YouTube. So everybody have a great Wednesday. I'm going to go kill off this neural coffee. Once again, thanks to Dr. Mike for the big surprise yesterday. And again, I hope some of you are going to enjoy this as much as I do when you find out what it is. Again, have a great Wednesday.